Hi friends, today we can see different methods of immobilization. We have already seen immobilization and the application of immobilized enzymes and cells. Okay, these are the different methods used for immobilization of enzymes and cells, that is adsorption, encapsulation, entrapment, covalent bonding and cross-linking. These are the 5 different methods used for immobilization of enzymes and cells. First, we can see adsorption. Adsorption, it is a physical binding of the enzyme on an inert support, and the support material may be either organic or inorganic compound. Organic compound, the example is starch. For inorganic support material, we can see silica gel is an example. Adsorption involves weak forces such as van der Waals forces, hydrogen bonding, electrostatic forces and hydrophobic interactions. Adsorbed enzymes, it can be easily removed by minor changes in pH, ionic strength or temperature. That is adsorption, it's a reversible process. Enzymes, they can be immobilized on the support either internally or externally. If the enzymes are immobilized externally, the size of the carrier, it must be very small to achieve an appreciable surface of bonding. That is the diameter of the carrier. It varies from 500 angstroms to 1 millimeter. But the enzyme immobilized internally, they are more stable than externally immobilized enzymes because these enzymes are protected from abrasions, microbial attack, etc. This is the diagrammatic representation. This is support and the enzyme, it is attached to the support with the help of weak forces. This is also the electrostatic force of attraction between the enzyme and the support. This is the support and this is the enzyme, and it is adsorbed on the surface with the help of electrostatic forces. We can see 4 different procedures for adsorption: static process, dynamic batch process, reactor loading process and electrodeposition. Coming to static process, here immobilization, it is done by allowing the enzyme solution to contact the carrier without stirring. That is, the enzyme solution and the carrier, it is mixed and it is allowed to remain as such without stirring. Dynamic batch process, here the carrier, it is placed in the enzyme solution and it is mixed by stirring. In the reactor loading process, carrier and the enzyme solution, they are placed in a reactor. And the loading is carried out by agitation. Agitation means here also mixing can be seen with the help of an agitator. Electrodeposition, here the carrier, it is placed on one of the electrodes in an enzyme bath. And when the current is applied, the enzyme, they start migrating to the carrier and deposit on the surface of the carrier. Therefore, these are the 4 procedures involved in adsorption. They are static process, dynamic batch process, reactor loading process and electrodeposition. Next, we can see entrapment. Enzymes can be immobilized by physical entrapment. It can be done inside a polymer or a gel matrix, and the nature and the form of the matrix, it vary, and the pore size of the matrix, it should be adjusted so that we can protect the enzyme. Otherwise, the loss of enzyme occurs from the matrix. So, the pore size of the matrix, it is adjusted to prevent the loss of enzyme from the matrix. Matrices used are polyacrylamide gel, collagen, gelatin, starch, cellulose, etc. One of the drawback is possibility of leakage of enzymes from the gel. During entrapment process, the enzyme will be leaked, therefore loss of enzyme can occur in some cases in entrapment. Okay, we can see 4 types of entrapment methods. They are enzyme inclusion in gel. That is, here we can see this is a non-covalent entrapment. Here the enzyme, it is trapped inside the gel. Enzyme inclusion in fibers. This is a fiber, and inside the fiber we can see this is a single enzyme molecule. Therefore, we can see several molecules are entrapped inside a fiber format of matrix. Enzyme inclusion in microcapsule. Here we can see this is a microcapsule. The small membrane capsules containing enzymes are called microcapsules. Therefore, this is a microcapsule with the enzymes. These yellow colored spheres are enzymes and they are trapped in a membrane, and this membrane capsule containing enzymes are called microcapsules, and this membrane is semi-permeable in nature. Then fourth one is enzymes and phospholipids are mixed together, that is liposomal entrapment. That is phospholipids, you have already studied about phospholipids in plasma membrane, and here the phospholipids, they are mixed together, they are shaken well so that they will form a phospholipid bilayer. This is the phospholipid bilayer, and you have already studied that the phospholipid, it has a hydrophilic head and a hydrophobic tail, and on shaking these phospholipids, they form a phospholipid bilayer, and we can see the enzyme get trapped inside the inside this phospholipid bilayer, and these lipid bodies are called liposomes. Therefore, here the enzymes and phospholipids are mixed together, shaken well, so that the enzymes get trapped in the phospholipid bilayer, and this is called liposome. Next method is microencapsulation. It's a process of formation of a spherical particle. The suspension of enzyme, it is enclosed in a semi-permeable capsule. This is a semi-permeable capsule. The capsule may be polymeric, lipoidal or lipoprotein based. That is, the capsule, it will vary. Cellulose nitrate and nylon are some examples for the capsule materials. Three ways of microencapsulation can be seen. Building of special membrane reactors. Second one is formation of emulsions. Third one is stabilization of emulsions to form microcapsules. Next we can see covalent bonding or copolymerization. It is another method of enzyme immobilization. Here we can see covalent bond formation. That is, covalent bond is formed between the chemical group of the enzyme and the chemical group of the support. That is, this is a support material and this is the enzyme. Here we can see a covalent bond is formed between the support and the enzyme. That is, it is formed between the chemical group of the enzyme and the support, and the carriers may be either carbohydrates, that is support may be either carbohydrate, protein or inorganic materials. We can see four methods of covalent bonding: diazotation, formation of peptide bond, group activation, and by polyfunctional reagents. First we can see diazotation. Here the covalent bond is formed between a group of the support and the tyrosyl or histidyl group of the enzyme. That is diazotation. Therefore, the covalent bond is formed between a group of the support and tyrosyl or histidyl group of the enzyme. Formation of peptide bond. You have already heard about peptide bonds. Here the bond is formed between the amino or carboxy group of the support and the enzyme. Group activation, this can be done by addition of certain substances, mainly cyanogen bromide, to a support containing glycol group. That is, here we are adding an additional substance, that is cyanogen bromide. It's an example. Cyanogen bromide can be added to a support containing glycol group. Example for such type of support is cellulose. That is, by adding cyanogen bromide to cellulose, we can see group activation or covalent bond formation occurs. That is group activation. Hope you all understand. Then fourth one is polyfunctional reagents. Use of bifunctional or multifunctional reagents. One example is glutaraldehyde. The reagents, they form bonding between the amino group of the support and the amino group of the enzymes. Next method is cross-linking. It's the last method. Absence of solid support is a characteristic feature of immobilization of enzyme by cross-linking. Here we can see there is no solid support. Cross-links are formed between the enzymes itself. Here a polyfunctional reagent is present, and this reagent reacts with the enzyme molecules and they create a bridge that form the backbone to hold the enzyme molecules. And these cross-links are formed with the help of the polyfunctional reagents. Crosslinks, they are irreversible. They can withstand extreme pH and temperatures and are used to immobilize several industrial enzymes. It's a simple process, but one risk is that there is a chance of denaturation of enzymes by the polyfunctional reagents. Example for one polyfunctional reagent is glutaraldehyde. This is the cross-linking of the enzyme. Here the cross-links are formed between the enzyme with the help of a polyfunctional reagent. Therefore, the enzyme, it is trapped in this cross-link. And this is irreversible and it is widely used for immobilization of various industrially important enzymes. Next, we can see immobilization of cells. Here we can see the methods employed are the same as that of the enzymes, that is adsorption, covalent bonding, cell-to-cell cross-linking, encapsulation, entrapment. Some examples are, for adsorption, lactobacillus, it can be adsorbed on gelatin. Covalent bonding, Saccharomyces cerevisiae, it can be immobilized by using cellulose and cyanuric chloride. That is, covalent bond will be formed between this. Cross-linking, E. coli can be cross-linked using glutaraldehyde. Entrapment, again Saccharomyces cerevisiae can be immobilized using calcium alginate as support. It's one of the common method. Encapsulation, example is Streptomyces species can be immobilized in polyester support. These are some examples for immobilization of cells. The most commonly immobilized cells are Saccharomyces cerevisiae, E. coli, Streptomyces, etc. That's all about immobilization methods. Hope you all understand the session. Thank you. Have a nice day.